Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Um, love is a wonderful thing, and love conquers everything. So, in a spiritual realm, um, the key would be to first love yourself. And the way you can increase your loving yourself is by going deep inside and looking at the trauma, the demons that are inside you, the dragons, right? And you want to slay those dragons. You want to look at each little bit of trauma that's in your life and slay those dragons. Now, dragons, of course, breathe fire, so they're not going to burn you like physically or anything or spiritually. They're going to cause a little bit of pain. But once you learn how to slay a dragon, it becomes easier and easier and easier. So when you get rid of those dragons, those trauma things in your life, and you face them and you accept them and you become more of a solid whole person, you start loving yourself more. And self love is something that people talk about a lot and don't really understand the concept behind it because self love is what gives you confidence and security and abundance and love for other people and love in your life. And you start attracting things rather than chasing things, right? And that's what we want. We want to attract abundance. We want to attract love. We want to attract high vibrational people, like people that are not, you know, maybe so much in the demon area, like bad people. We don't want bad people. We want people that have self love themselves. And um, when we attract those type of people and that kind of abundance into our life, that is what God wants for us, or God, or the divine, or the universe, or Allah, or He's got many names. It's an energy above us and an energy around us, and that energy is really, really close. And it's important when you want to attract your twin flame because everybody has a twin flame. A lot of people pick or chase after people and they get into relationships where maybe things aren't the greatest, right? It's not your twin flame. It's not a complete and endless love. It's one person sucking the energy out of another person, like a narcissistic relationship or something like that. It's more, instead of building yourself up and building your energy up, is more draining than anything else. And that means that you're not with your twin flame. And the only way you can get your twin flame is if you attract them. So you need that self love, and you need to slay those dragons inside you. You need to face them, and you need to go through and do the work that it takes to slay those dragons. And when you put work into yourself and you love yourself and you're full of love, then you have two people that are completely full of love and independent of each other deciding to live together or be together. And that kind of love is unmistakably bliss because you're not codependent on each other. You're choosing, as you are independent of each other is independent, you are choosing to be together. And that is what makes a power couple. Two people that love themselves independently, are full of love by themselves, choosing to love each other, and you have a power couple there. And that's what a twin flame is. A twin flame is the person that has the same energy vibration that you do, has the same drive, the same compassion, the same passion that you do. And no matter how you put two people together that choose each other, because they're meant to be with each other. That's what a twin flame is. It's a divine connection or a universe connection, a soulmate, if you will. Then you have passion and love and romance and the ability to create and attract even more abundance and more love and more things in your life. And that's what the divine or the universe wants for you. They want that energy, the divine, we'll call them right now. That energy wants you to attract abundance and attract your love and attract love of other people too, friends that actually love you instead of friends that may or may not be there if you really need them or not. You know, we've all had those friends. You know, they're friends. You know, up until we actually are down and out and need some help, and then they're nowhere to be found. Those aren't the kind of friends you need. Those aren't really friends. When you attract people that are the same vibration, the same level of love that you are in, and love themselves, those friends will be there for thick and thin. They'll be there for anything. And yeah, everybody goes up and down, right? Life is not high, 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 high. It's a little bit of a thing. But you have low vibrations, right? When you have people that go up and down a little bit low, and those are people that don't love themselves, have insecurities, have trauma things that they haven't faced, and usually low vibrational people are more on the how do you say, demon side of things, bad side of things, instead of being in the loving side of things and loving each other and loving everybody. And we all know that the divine wants us to love everyone as ourselves. And the thing with that is you have to love yourself first to do that. Love everyone as yourself. So you have to love yourself. And then you attract people that love themselves too. And your life becomes angelical, you know? It's a whole different realm of life, you know? You have power, you have influence, you have confidence, and you can literally attract your desires and your dreams and manifest them, with self-love. And, when you got two people that can manifest a whole bunch of things, abundance coming into them, like I said, that's a power couple, And you guys have your twin flame to look forward to. So I think what I'm saying is, if you really want to attract love and passion and excitement and abundance and joy and happiness and fulfillment in your life, start working on yourself first and work on slaying those dragons, right? And yeah, it's painful, it's hard work. And it gets easier every dragon you slay because everybody has an immense amount of trauma in their lives, especially in this day and age, because trauma seems to be a low vibrational thing. And there's a lot of people that are low vibrational right now. There's a lot of people that have, we all have free will, and they've chosen to maybe not work on themselves and rather take from other people instead of attracting their own abundance. And that kind of mindset is really hard to get anywhere from, because other people will start working on themselves when you're taking from them, and they'll get up in a vibration that they can't even touch you anymore. They can't reach you anymore because they're not at the same level anymore. You're up here and they're still vibing down here, and it just doesn't meet anymore. so they can't take from you. And that's where you can attract an immense amount of abundance. So I know, like the universe and the divine, I know they want you to, I know that energy wants so much for you to have your twin flame, to have your love, to have your passion, to have your joy in your life. And another thing is you can go through this and slay the dragons. And if there's things in your life that you've done that are wrong, and you don't want the karma that comes with that, and karma is a reaction. It's a thing that comes when you do something wrong, and it comes in your life when you're ready to learn the lesson, right? So every bad thing you do has karma. Every good thing you do has dharma, which is the opposite of karma, which is good karma. And so, the bad things you pay in a bad way, and whatever way that divine justice works for you, it'll come when you're ready to learn that lesson. When you're ready to learn that lesson. And remember that, because every bad thing you do has karma, and every good thing you do has dharma. So if you choose, because you have free will, right? So you can choose to do good, or you could choose to do bad. And people say, why is there the devil? Because if you had good or good to choose from, you wouldn't have a choice, right? There would be no choice. So we need good and bad. We need the universe to say, yes, this is good and this is bad, and you have that choice. And it's not about being perfect all the time. It's about working on it, right? Trying to be perfect. As long as you're putting in the effort, you're going to end up on the good end of things. And the other thing is you can always ask for forgiveness for things that you do wrong. That energy is right beside you. They're ready to forgive you right away. And forgiveness is not for the divine. Forgiveness is for us, because we need to move on. We need to get past that thing. And we need, for our spiritual history, to not have those things in it. So when judgment comes, they go up to that incident in history in your spiritual life. Like in man's life, that's history. But in the spiritual world, there's nothing there when you ask for forgiveness. It's gone. So when judgment comes and there's nothing there to judge, they have to start from where you are now, from when you ask for forgiveness to what you're doing now. And if you're leading a good life, there's no judgment. And I'm going to tell you that judgment is not something that comes when you die. Judgment is here now. The days of thinking that, you get judged when you die are long gone, because karma hits you hard, and it hits you really, really hard. It'll throw you on your ass, And I hope that you can find it in your mentality to think in the way of moving on from your mistakes, moving on to something better, instead of thinking of it like the divine or the universe will guide you, right? Or will follow you. So if you decide to go in the negative way, the divine will follow you there. He'll or she or he, they, them. It doesn't matter what you call them. It's an energy, and it's an energy. It doesn't have sex or any specific name. It is an energy that's above our energy, which we are all energy. Trees and plants and grass and roots and water and us, everything is energy and it transfers back and forth. And if you don't believe that, take a walk in a park with some trees and some plants and look at them and spend some time in there and you get a very positive feeling because you're getting positive energy. And you will understand that everything in the world is based on this energy. And energy, there's no dissipating of energy. There's no, like, you can't lose energy. It has to go somewhere. So if it's bad energy you're sending out, that energy has to come back somehow to you, and it's going to come back as bad energy. And that's where karma comes from. Because energy, you can't just send out bad energy and hope that it goes somewhere else, because energy doesn't dissipate. It has to go somewhere, and it usually comes back to you. And at some point, you know. And then we get into like the scale, like the balance of things. You know, the woman with the blindfold on and the scale, right? And it has to be even because the good and the bad has to be even, you know, even energy. And so when you send out bad energy, that takes away from good energy, and it unbalances that scale, you know, either the good or the bad. And the universe has to be balanced. And so that energy is going to come back. So if you send out good energy is going to come back. If you send out bad energy, you make a bad choice and you send somebody bad energy, it's going to come back to you as bad energy. You know, you can alchemize it. You know, once you become self-loving and secure and you know, confident and everything like that, you start alchemizing that energy. So the bad energy that comes from you, from other people, you take in and transform it into positive energy to attract more abundance. You know, and that's how it works, very simply. So I want you guys to work on yourselves a little bit. Slay one dragon at a time. And like I said, you know, these dragons breathe fire, so it's going to hurt to slay a dragon. But every dragon you slay, you learn how to slay that dragon. And it gets easier and easier and easier until the point where, you know, something comes in, a trauma comes in, and you slay that dragon right away. And it's gone, and then you don't have to live with it. It doesn't affect your life anymore. You know, it's done and it's gone, and you can attract more things. And as you slay those dragons, as you build in that self-love, as you build in that confidence and everything, it's like a magnet, right? It starts off a little small, so you're attracting really small things at first. And it gets stronger, and you attract a little bigger things, and it gets stronger, and you attract big things. And it gets so strong that you attract great big things. And your life just goes, and your twin flame, your true love, the person that was the soul that has probably loved you in many lifetimes, had passionate, loving, abundant lifetimes with you, is waiting for you and is attracting you. Now you have to get to the level of attracting them too. And then you'll join together. And we'll have like millions and millions of power couples. And your twin flame doesn't have to be exactly at the same level that you're at. Okay? As long as they're working on themselves and getting a higher vibration, it'll always succeed. Right? It's when they stop working on themselves or they don't work on themselves and they become karmic. And that's when, you know, the twin flame things don't work. And there's millions of twin flames that aren't together because one or both of them aren't working on themselves, aren't building that self-love, aren't attracting enough love to themselves. You know? When you love yourself and you have no demons, nobody can use you or abuse you or manipulate you and so you're at a higher vibration, right? And so if you're not being able to be manipulated or used or, abused, there's always going to be people that are, at the same level. But once you get up to the point that there's nothing that they can say, you haven't faced and you haven't slayed that dragon, there's nothing for them to use. There's no trauma-based things for a karmic to use or a narcissist or, like a narcissist just basically, well, they how do you say, they just feed on your trauma base. They just use what hurts you to hurt you more, So I really encourage you, each one of you, this is very important, that you spend time and try to look at those demons and slay those dragons and start loving yourself and start attracting this abundance, attracting this love, attracting this passion, this joy, this happiness. Because so many people are sad and lonely and, they're not attracting anything. They're just trying to struggle and live by, but they don't realize that they have it all in. All the answers are in us. All the answers for everything. We are a complete package. We just have to work on ourselves, put in that self-work. Become the independent, strong, confident, loving yourself person to attract a strong, independent, loving self person and decide to love each other together, and then you have a power couple that can't be stopped. There is no stopping a couple like that. And that is what the universe, the divine, Allah, wants for you. That's the whole purpose of life. And maybe in the next video I'll talk about forgiveness a little bit more and how that works and how judgment works, and give you an understanding of why asking for forgiveness is important for us. Not for anybody else, not for the divine, not for the universe, not for Allah, it's for us. And I will explain that, and I will explain how, in more detail, how judgment works and how, of course I said man has history, but the spiritual realm is completely different. You have incidents of bad judgments, bad choices, and if you ask for forgiveness, they get erased, right? And I can explain that in more detail maybe on the next video. So please hit the like and the subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. And we are working on saving kids. Kids are the most important thing we have in our lives as single individual people or as families. Kids are the most important things we have to continue our species, let alone, developing, wonderful, more souls, living souls. Because souls live over and over and over, many, many lifetimes. And so your kids are just somebody else's soul that's coming back to life. They have a history, they have a remembrance of what life is like. And every single person is going to change mankind's direction their own way. Every single person. There's not one person that does not contribute to mankind's advancement. So we have an email. It's a Gmail address. It is crime against kids, crimeagainstkids@gmail.com, all one word. And if you feel in your heart that you want to donate, we have an office that runs, and it costs us about $4,200 a month to run that. We have volunteers that work in that office, so that there's no salaries really. It's just the computers and the space and all that, and the rent and the utilities, and we run, and we are trying to find a location in the United States and in a state. So we're going to ask you to pick a state where we can set up a shelter system for kids that will offer psychiatric help, therapy, get these kids, schooling, get them into school, get them back into life, and it's a very important thing that these kids that don't have a home and don't have the resources to do anything, and their lives are so important. I mean, one of those kids could be the next Einstein or the next Picasso, We don't know which kid is going to contribute what to mankind, but every single person will contribute to mankind's advancement. Every single person, you included. You are going to contribute to mankind's advancement. And remember that. You have an important role in this life. And you have a twin flame. Somebody that is, some soul that is designed to be with you. Chosen to be with you. And that's the kind of love, like when they choose to be with you and have been chosen to be with you and have been with you many, many lifetimes. That's something you can't, it's amazing, It's an amazing feeling to love yourself so much that you don't need anybody else, and you want to choose to be with the person that was designed to be with you, who loves you the way you need to be loved, who will be passionate when you need to be passionate, who will be understanding and empathetic, and a shoulder to cry on, and a shoulder to, like the Bible says, the only thing the Bible says about marriage and your partner is that you have to find somebody to go to war with, because life is a war. And it says, find someone that you can go to war with, and that is your twin flame. You can go to war together, power couple. So remember, crimesagainstkids@gmail.com if you care to make a donation. That is if your heart feels that way. Okay, I'm not going to beg you or demand it. Some people can't afford to do that, and I understand that. A like would help, a subscribe would help, but if you feel compelled to help out with even a couple dollars, $1, I don't care, 50 cents. All these kids, every dime is going to help them. It's going to change their lives forever. Forever. So put in the comments down below what state you want us to set up a shelter in, and maybe what city you would like us first to set up a shelter in. And we're going to pick one out from you guys. Um, it'll be our first shelter with the new system that we have with the the therapists and everything, and you know things getting ready for school and things like that. So we would like to bring a lot of kids from other places in the state, um, in the U.S. to this center to help as many kids as we can. And it's going to take it's going to take cash, guys. I'm sorry, but you got to get a building, and you got to get you know it's got to be up to code, and you got to be standards, and you got food, and you got you know well, if you have kids now, you know how expensive they are. But these kids need us so badly to you know so they don't end up you know working on the streets, the kids of the night, and or crime, get into crime and drugs, and we got to get them before their innocence is gone, before their souls are sold. Okay, this is important. It's a very important project I have, and it's a very personal one. I want to help as many kids as I can around the world, and we got to start somewhere. So we're going to start in a state in the United States of America, and you know we're going to pick it up based on your comments. So and then we're going to need you guys to support it. Help a kid. So give if you can. crimeagainstkids@gmail.com. Love you guys. Remember, your twin flame is attracting you. Work on yourself. Work on that self-love. Work on that confidence and start attracting things to your life. Attract abundance to your life. Attract that love to your life. Attract that passion and joy. Love you guys. Peace.